Trump's White House banner claims America leads the world in testing. That's wrong. This article by Vox, by German Lopez, says, quote, as President Donald Trump spoke at the Rose Garden on Monday about coronavirus testing, a banner behind him made a bold claim, America leads the world in testing. That claim, however, is very misleading. It's true that the U.S. leads the world in total number of tests, in large part because it's a big country and has the most confirmed COVID-19 cases and deaths globally. But when controlling for population, America is behind several countries in terms of COVID-19 testing. As of May 9th, the article writes, the U.S. testing rate is roughly 26 per 1,000 people. According to Our World in Data, in comparison, Denmark's rate is 53, Italy's is 42, New Zealand's is 39, Germany's is 33, and Canada's is 28. So basically what they're saying is that for every 1,000 people in the United States, only 26 get tested. When paired with contact tracing, testing lets officials track the scale of an outbreak, isolate the sick, quarantine those with whom the sick came in contact, and deploy community-wide efforts as necessary. Aggressive testing and tracing is how other countries, including South Korea and Germany, got their outbreaks under control, allowing them to start reopening in the last couple of weeks. Though even they have had scaled back their reopenings after new spikes in COVID-19 cases. So I want you to think about those numbers. And I did a little bit of math here. Let's first take the example of Denmark, right? So Denmark has 53 tests for every 1,000 people, right? Their population is 5.8 million. Through this math, that gives us 307,000 tests, roughly. Italy, they have a population of 60 million and have done 42 tests per every 1,000 people. They're at 2.5 million tests. New Zealand, 4.7 million population, they're at 39 tests per 1,000 people. That's 183,000 tests. I'm going to skip Germany and Canada, but let's look at the United States. It's 26 tests per 1,000 people. We have a population of 327 million. So according to the CDC, we're at 9.7 million tests. And so that brings me to the point. The US actually has done more tests than all of the countries combined in this article. Let's consider two things. Number one, why are they manipulating these statistics to continue to push the narrative that the US response to the coronavirus has been inadequate? And two, why are we buying into this? Why are we so eager to make our country look bad? Don't we want to get behind our leadership? I mean, it's just kind of this deranged Trump syndrome where anything that the president or anything that his administration does is automatically bad. And they have 9 million tests done. That's a lot. Now that the Trump administration has got testing done, it wasn't an issue, and either it wasn't an issue or it's still not adequate enough. 9 million isn't adequate enough. Look at what all the other countries are doing. And you look at what the other countries are doing, but the mainstream media has to do mental gymnastics and manipulate numbers to look like the US is still putting forth a lackluster effort. And really think about this if you're talking about testing and the lack thereof. Is it actually your view that you think testing has been inadequate? Or is that your view because the person on the TV told you that that's what your view should be? The purpose of testing realistically isn't data collection. And I'm not an expert or anything like that. But it's so that in hindsight, you can look at the trends of the virus. You can look at what populations were susceptible. You can look at where the concentration of the virus was and how it spread. You can look back on this data later on and actually find those meaningful trends. But the idea that testing is actually going to stop the virus doesn't really make sense. If you go to a clinic, if you go to a hospital, and you have symptoms for coronavirus, or any virus for that matter, they're going to treat your symptoms, whether or not you were tested and whether or not you have a confirmed diagnosis of anything. Testing is definitely going to be really important going forward. For employers who there's still the fear of a second wave of coronavirus, you want to be able to get your employees tested out before they come into work, before they're interacting with the public. That makes sense. But to think that there's a testing capacity and an infrastructure set up that's going to go door to door testing every single American for coronavirus, that's totally absurd. Ultimately, the people who are getting tested are the ones who are sick, who are at the clinics, who are at the hospital, who are going to get treated anyway. Testing in and of itself isn't going to stop the spread of the disease. And that's exactly why I don't feel bad for that reporter who Trump came out nasty to her after she said this.
Said many times that the U.S. is doing far better than any other country when it comes to testing.
Yes.
Why does that matter? Why is this a global competition to you if every day Americans are still losing their lives and we're still seeing more cases every day?
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world. And maybe that's a question you should ask China. Don't ask me, ask China that question, okay? When you ask them that question, you may get a very unusual answer. Yes, behind you, please.
Sir, why are you saying that to me specifically?
I'm
That I
telling
should
you,
ask
I'm not
China?
saying it specifically to anybody. I'm saying it to anybody that would ask a nasty question
That's
like that.
not a nasty
Please go
question.
ahead.
Literally, it's the media that's been ramping this up and talking about it nonstop for weeks now, talking about testing and it's inadequate and the Trump administration, how they can't get it together with testing. And now that they've caught up with testing, now that they've administered 9 million tests, now you want to ask, why is it a competition? What do you mean? You all literally made it a competition, comparing all the other countries and what they were doing with testing versus what we're doing. It's a totally loaded, I gotcha question. And then she's gonna be shocked when Trump is rude about it, and then has the nerve to play the race card afterwards. It just so happens she's an Asian American from China, and she feels like as if the president is personally attacking her. I don't buy it. I think it's all theatrics. It really seems as though all that the left-leaning media establishment can do at this point is just continue to move the goalposts. Testing was a problem. Now they fixed testing. Well, why did you fix testing? Why is it a big deal? They're the ones who made it a big deal, and we should feel insulted at this point. It's like they think that we weren't paying attention to the last couple of months, that they're saying this particular thing is an issue, and now that the issue was solved, it's like it was never an issue at all. Testing was the issue, and now that Trump has tackled that issue, now he's bragging and turning it into a global competition. Let's not forget who made it a competition in the first place. I'll leave you with that. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves.
And the irony for Donald Trump is he's desperate to get us all back working again. But until we have adequate testing, people aren't going to go back to work or go to the restaurants or go to the theaters or anywhere else. And we are way short of what we need. South Korea at this point in their fight against corona had about 2 million, had a per capita level that in the United States would be 2 million tests per day. They said we had 300,000 and bragged about it. It was really closer to 250.